beautiful tribe. I hope you're having a great day today. It is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. April Fools, but we're no fools here now, are we? Because we knew ahead of time of the potential huge events that were going to take place and did take place over the past week. Starting with that horrific 7.7 earthquake that hit Myanmar and nearby areas, with a toll of over 2,000 people now, friends. Horrific. Not only that, there were actually 4 very significant earthquakes that hit over the past week, and many close to the areas in which Spirit previously warned, and that we even pointed to on maps. So who could be next? Will the activity actually die down a little bit now? Or is it just about to flare up even more? We continue to get hit with one big energy after another, a lot more than what I even expected. I told you we were going to get hit. But this is an understatement of energies. The sun is still blasting one solar flare after another, and the whole entire solar system, friends, the whole entire solar system is literally appearing as if their climates are changing. And it's occurring on other planets, not just on the planet Earth. Interesting to say the least. While this very large coronal hole, 2 of them actually, are about to face the Earth directly. So what could this mean? Could we get hit again? Could another big earthquake be on the way? And some good news today. Some good news starting with the state of Utah. Go Utah, the first state, many which will follow, thankfully. Eventually all will follow, to ban fluoride from being added to public drinking water. Why is this so important, friends? Why is it so important, and what could follow from Utah's huge decision in banning fluoride from the water? Other exciting health news I have for you today, too. So there's always some good news mixed in. Floods for our friends down under in Queensland and Australia. More resignations, and even a ban in France on one of the candidates, Le Pen. You heard about that. And then we see rivers and waters and even the ocean turning blood red in Iran, of all places, friends. Is this an apocalyptic sign? Is something coming to Iran in the near future? Is this literally biblical? Because you know the Bible and Revelation's all focused around the Middle East. And the Bible talks about the waters turning red. Could this be at all significant? It is a beauty to see for sure. And once again, we have lots to discuss today, including new predictions revolved around Canadian elections, an attack coming to Germany, chaos in France, weather warnings, and a whole lot more on this episode, number 160 of Tuesday's prediction update. So friends, get that kettle hot, because you know it's Tittle tea time, baby. Well, friends, April has arrived, and the first 3 months of 2025 seem to fly by faster than ever before, with absolutely, of course, no shortage of dramatic events playing out all around the globe. We step into the 4 universal month in numerology this month, a great time for us to personally, if you utilize it to your advantage, this can personally really, these energies can really help us, because the 4 vibration, that's going to bring in the energies of structure, stability, and practicality into our lives. If you use this to your advantage, you can really build something amazing and great in the month of April. This is a month to truly focus on your relationships, your career, and business growth, and even financial stability. Even though the economy is not going to look very stable, it doesn't mean that we can't gain financial stability from it, especially when markets drop. Can give people opportunities to really cash in, because that's what the global elite do and the billionaires do. And speaking of financial stability, have you seen the prices of gold and silver lately, friends? My, oh my. Hopefully you took Spirit's advice. I sure did, and started buying that years ago when I told you. They are both soaring, and now experts are confirming that something Spirit and I both told you at least 5 years ago, that silver shortages are going to come into play. And silver is going to be the better of the long-term investments. I purchased silver a while back for around $22 an ounce. where now it's around $34 an ounce. That's high. But it's going to get a lot higher. And even if you purchased it in late 2025 or late 2024, you still gained at least $5 an ounce, at least. If you got it at the right time, it's a pretty good return pretty quickly. And I expect it to rise past likely $100 or more over the next 5 years or so. Gold is good too, of course, but most folks can't, in this matrix reality, we can't all afford to buy gold. And Spirit really still always said and still continues to say that silver is going to be the better bet in the long run. Remember, all your electronics, all the coming quantum technology that's coming, and all these things need a majority silver more than gold. They have gold in it too. They have a lot more silver. Solar panels, all of it, friends. This is why silver is the best long-term investment, and of course, survival stuff. And with, the tariff trade conflict that's happening, April is when the president activates the tariffs on many countries. And this first week of April, which is bound to bring markets crashing down, while precious metals are going to continue to rise, this could also be a good investment period once markets go down significantly. This tariff and economic energy is bound to bring more conflicts and disagreements along with it. Global, political, geopolitical chaos. We're already in it. Yesterday, I put out April's forecast and predictions. So be sure to check out, because they're very thorough forecasts. March is a very intense month. March was a very intense month, We're out of it now. But it was intense. Just as Spirit warned in my 2025 yearly predictions. I picked 3 months a year. March was the first. July is the next. And the first few weeks of April are going to remain intense with these energies flowing in more and more this week. It's going to be interesting. Now, the sun has been blasting us with more than we've experienced in perhaps decades, with these rare incoming light codes from the sun that are really going to bring a flare-up of emotions. Have you noticed that? And you notice your past flashing before your eyes throughout the day. It's not because you're leaving anytime soon, like they say, your past, you see your past. But you may have past things coming up, past loves showing back up in your life, past friendships, a lot of reflection on past things. It's part of the healing process. We often have to, go back to the past to eliminate things that have been blocking our healing and blocking us from moving forward. So overall, we're going to have not only these emotions that are coming in, but big changes with people. Big changes with people. Some for the better, hopefully most for the better. Not always the case. Remember what Spirit warned. We are in solar maximum since last year, and Spirit warned that 2025 would be much worse. And we have 2 coronal holes that are about to face the Earth right now, which are bound to set off more flares pointing towards the Earth. And remember, Mercury's in retrograde direct, and that always goes out with a bang, which is basically the coming weekend, Sunday, Monday. When we come out and we go into the post-shadow. So the first week of April, it's going to remain extremely intense, friends. And so continue holding on tight to that roller coaster car, because we're about to go through several big loops just over the next week. Beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, a.k.a. Spiritman JT, spiritual medium, bringing you predictions, prophecy, and truth each and every week on Teatime. And if you're new here and you want the most accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with this tribe, please do be sure to smash that subscribe, the bell, and all. We call it the love button. That's the thumbs up button, by the way. So smash that love button so that you can also make sure that other content like this shows up on your feed. And check your notifications when you click subscribe, bell, and all. And if I don't show up on your notifications or platform by Wednesday, always go directly to the channel to check and make sure that you're still subscribed, because mysterious things happen here and on other channels too. Down below, you'll find the link to the new newsletter for April with all the astrology and numerology and past videos so that you don't miss any great content or predictions. Sign up for free. That just went out on March 31st. And when you sign up, please don't email my office asking to put you on the list. We can't do that. You have to sign up directly through the newsletter itself. So open up the newsletter down below. At the top corner, you'll see a link. Open that up and you'll see subscribe. Subscribe. When you do subscribe, you will get a confirmation email within an hour or less, usually right away. Make sure you confirm, and then you add that email address to your contacts to ensure that you get the newsletter. Other than that, friends, also be aware of fake profiles on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok mostly. If you get a message from somebody that appears to be me and a profile that appears to be me, it is a fake profile. They are scammers. Do not fall for it. Report those profiles immediately. And don't forget to check out the April forecast. I'll leave a link up above at some point, and always down below in the description you can find links to recommended videos. Recommended by us, not by YT. And let us move on to episode 160 of Teatime, baby. Let's start today with some positivity and some positivity around news when it comes to our health and well-being. And even when it comes to our body, mind, and spirit, all aspects. Body, mind, and spirit, it's all aligned with each other. And actually, we got it backwards. It should be spirit, mind, body, because it really all starts with energy, and that is spirit. So today in health news, we have some exciting breakthroughs that clearly show that we are moving into this new paradigm and moving towards the new earth. A time where humanity becomes way more mindful, way more conscious of our body, mind, and spirit. A short bloom, big bloom and boom in spirituality is taking place in this current energy shift that we are in right now. As we come out of it, you'll see a big booming in spirituality, people becoming more interested, even more interested in content like I provide here with the spirits on this channel. Big boom. So expect to see channels like this and others grow significantly over the next, starting as soon as we're coming out of this shift and even while we're in this shift. A big old boom, and folks are waking up to the toxic poisoning that's going on with our food and water. About time. Not only are they waking up to it, people are starting to take steps towards, bettering this. Not to mention, the truth of all these healing modalities that have been kept from us for so long. Suppressed, kept from us, you're not allowed to talk about it kind of thing. So let's start with the state of Arkansas. The state of Arkansas actually pushed for the approval of over-the-counter ivermectin, a powerful healing drug that was kept from us purposely, if you recall, back in 2020. The globalists even campaigned. Remember, they put out campaigns to put fear behind this drug and to block folks from its true healing qualities. And interesting how things all pan out. This is the new paradigm we're stepping into. Now people are aware of it. You see it all over the internet all the time, and people telling stories about that one and similar drugs to it. Now, Arkansas is the very first. Well, now in Mexico, you can't buy it over the counter in Mexico, but you can go in Mexico basically in the pharmacy and get what you want. I did, and I got that there. Very dirt cheap too, like dollars, a couple dollars. I don't even think it was that much. I'd have to look at my receipt. But overall, I got a whole bag of stuff for like $44. Can't beat that. But now our friends in Arkansas have approved, or pushing for the approval, I think it has actually been approved, to allow this drug, this powerful healing drug, to be available to consumers right in their own drugstore, right over the counter, not by a prescription or any other BS. That's good news. And I happen, again, to pick up quite a few myself. I haven't taken any yet because I don't feel like I need to, but I will eventually do a Iva cleanse. We'll call it the Iva cleanse. Do the Iva cleanse. And, last week, a couple weeks ago, I went down to California and crossed over to Mexico. I can't tell you much on here about how powerful this drug is in healing. You can go, please do your own research. And always consult a medical professional. So next on the chopping block is something that will truly assist in the ascension along with our health. And that brings me to the state of Utah, who is the first state to finally place a ban on water fluoridation. This fight to stop this neurotoxin from being pumped into our water supplies has been ongoing for decades, actually. You don't read about it. Mass media never covers it. I covered it before last year and told you about the court hearings that were coming up in different states, fighting to, again, showing the evidence and the proof that it's a neurotoxin that is absolutely toxic to our body, mind, and spirit. And now, only just over the past few years, has this fight really become viral. More and more folks are aware of the severe health consequences that could be found in those consuming too much of this neurotoxin. There's even what do they call it? Basically almost like a fluoride overdose where it turns your teeth, puts white spots on people's teeth. Look it up for yourself. I was going to do a video on it, but it's kind of risky to tell the truth sometimes. But I remember in grade school, there was a girl I went to school with who had a crush on me in like 4th grade, 5th grade maybe. And she had them spots on her teeth. I remember she said it was from a fever or something, which is possible. But the more I look at it and the more I did research on fluoride, the more I found out that that's likely what was going on with her teeth. Maybe they told her it was the fever, but likely was not the case. Just saying, friends. So much can be found when you research this neurotoxin. And we know that this creates the calcification around your thyroid, your pituitary, and your pineal glands. So your thyroid, your throat chakra, is all about communication, socialization, and speaking up for yourself. So when you get a sore throat, it means you're not saying something that you need to say. You're not speaking up. Maybe your coworker got the raise that you should have got. You're not saying anything. And if you don't say something, you're going to end up with strep throat and calling out sick. Maybe somebody hurt your feelings or what have you. As we get older, people that end up with thyroid, throat issues, throat diseases usually stems from childhood trauma that they never worked through. Now, of course, they want to suppress you from speaking up for yourself. So yeah, calcify the thyroid, and these glands are important to our spirituality and to certain chakras. And for those that don't know what chakras are, they're energy points, vortexes of energy. You have them at the palms of your hands, your elbows, your knees, your feet. We have 7 along the spine, and we have 6 above our head. So 13 chakras all together. The major ones are along the spine. Each one's associated with different glands, organs, part of the body. Each chakra is associated with different emotions that associate with different illnesses, diseases, and health ailments. So that's why in my full sessions with clients, I do a healing meditation. Actually, one of my clients over the weekend had this thing with the throat, and then afterwards, the next day, my throat was bothering me all day. And I know it was from the client. I know it wasn't from not speaking up. But it felt good to help that person release whatever was there. Never had that one before. I mean, I see blockages in people's throats all the time with every client. There's a hereditary blockage that's been put into place for generations to stop us from speaking up. So at the same time, your pituitary, your third eye chakra, where all your intuition comes from. When your intuition tells you don't walk down that street, you might end up getting hurt. Or don't walk that path, things like that. Or you see visions of the future like I do. It's all here. They don't want you to see the visions of your future, and fluoride calcifies both those glands, the pituitary and the pineal. The pineal is the top center of your brain. It looks exactly and shaped exactly like a pine cone. Now, if you look at ancient Mesopotamia and ancient Iraq, you'll see pine cones everywhere, and they're holding them. But they're not pine cones. It's symbolic of the pineal. Because even at the Vatican, there's big statues of pine cones. The Pope carries a staff with a pine cone. And when you ask the church, of course, they give you some lame excuse, but they know what it is. They're following the ancient Mesopotamians and what they put out. It's the secret knowledge they don't want you to have. And even the Holy Bible says we were all created in the image of the divine. Did you know what the second part of that is? Most people don't. We were all created in the image of the divine, and therefore you are all divine beings yourself. Bible tells you you're basically a god because God is within us. Our soul resides in the center of the brain, the pineal. That is our connection to God and the divine. They calcify that because they don't want you to have that connection. I wouldn't doubt that sometimes in the future leads to things like Alzheimer's and dementia and maybe even Parkinson's. Too much calcification in the brain, in those glands in the brain. Now also, many ancient cultures believe your soul resides in the center of your brain. To me, it makes complete sense. Your brain's the computer that runs this body. Eventually, that computer is going to be old and it's going to die out and there's no upgrades available. And we move on to the other side and we take out the hard drive, the soul, and the center of the computer. Makes total sense to me. So kudos to Utah. Kudos to Utah for being the very first of the brave states to begin banning these neurotoxins from consumption. I want to know if they're going to end up banning it from toothpaste there in Utah. Now that they have determined it's toxic neurotoxin, that's what made them ban it. I would expect them to ban it from other products as well. A lot of other products. So, neurotoxins, banning them from consumption of drinking water. Because remember, you're cooking that water. So, you drink that water. You do everything. You bathe in that water. Your body absorbs it, just like the chlorine, which I also believe is completely toxic, that we can't avoid, unfortunately. But also, not only it's in tons of stuff, toothpaste. It's even in your non-stick cookware, friends. So go stainless steel, go cast iron, go copper. Don't cook in non-stick pans. Definitely don't cook in aluminum. And soon we're going to see others follow in Utah's steps and make that same brave move that they did. And they're going to spread to other countries who are also going to stop. A lot of countries fluoridate their water. A lot. I mean, most actually. If you look it up, just look it up for yourself. Do your research before you jump to conclusions. They don't do it where I live. I've had so many Americans tell me that, even when I go to people's homes and do groups. Oh, they don't do that here. I'm like, they do it. It's a state-regulated law. If they don't do it, they get fined. And the government sends it to them on purpose to make sure they do it. They do it in every public water system in the United States, except for Utah now. Except for Utah. That's what they do. And they don't have to tell you because they don't have to tell you there's chlorine in the water because they expect you to already know that. They only have to tell you what's in the water that shouldn't be in there. Like, high amounts of arsenic or whatever. That's what they have to tell you. So in the long run, this, stopping the fluoridation in turn is going to have amazing effects on everybody, especially the younger generation who are no longer going to be having to be concerned, that their voice, that their intuition and their connection to the divine is being cut off. No longer, friends, no longer being blocked by these neurotoxins purposely put in our water since World War II. Again, you can look that research up for yourself as well. Let us move on. Earth shifts in weather, just like Spirit warned. And I'm sure if you watched last week's full episode of Teatime, you'll recall my warning that a massive earthquake would hit in the incoming days or within the next week, 2 weeks at the most. And sadly, that actually came into fruition just a few days after I said it, when the massive 7.7 quake hit Myanmar and local areas. Where else did it hit? Bangkok, Thailand, hit parts of South China, and it caused quite a bit of shakeup. And now as of now, at least 2,000 folks have been consumed by this event. Volunteers are hacking away at the wreckage using jackhammers and shovels in a desperate attempt to recover any possible survivors. Satellite images showing the extent of the damage, with bridges being torn apart and buildings being reduced to rubble. Power outages and buckled roads hampered rescue efforts. In Bangkok, this footage shows the apartment bridge breaking apart from the quake, while this building under construction collapsed to the ground. One of the worst quakes in the area in the past 100 years. Remember also in my visions, I told you I saw a bridge. I just thought of that. When was that? It might have been my top prediction video I did a couple weeks ago, and I talked about more bridges falling. And I told you one of the bridges that I saw falling was going to be earthquake related. And, you just saw the footage of that actually happening. If you want to know more about bridge collapses and those predictions, because they're not all earthquake related and there's going to be multiple, go back and check out that video, the shocking prediction or upcoming prediction video. I'll make sure, again, a link's up above or down below. Now, there were actually a total of 4 earthquakes that hit. First, the 7.7 in Myanmar, followed by a huge 6.7 aftershock. Now, when you go on the USGS map, and you look at all the quakes, the ones that show red are the ones that are the most significant. And there were 4 that showed in red in the past week. First, again, being the 7.7 and the 6.7 aftershock. And then right after that, there was a 6.6 that hit right along the mid-Atlantic ridge, deep beneath the ocean. And luckily, not at all unleashing a tsunami as it could happen because it's right in the middle of the ocean. That could have launched a tsunami in both directions, hitting 2 different coastlines, even hitting parts of the Caribbean. But it didn't. Thank the Lord for that. And then there was this huge 7.0 in the Tonga, another place that I pointed to right on the map and warned that area many times. There's going to be big earth shifts down along that area, big earth shifts. And luckily, our friends down under avoided the tsunami as well. They had potential tsunami warnings, but no tsunamis, thankfully. So they may not be so lucky, friends in Australia, the next time the tongue is hit hard with a big earthquake. So be aware. And always watch this channel for updates so that you know what may be potentially coming in your direction. I also pointed to the entire area along the Indian Ocean between India, Malaysia, and Indonesia in my latest weather prediction video. A very fragile area of the globe, along with the area between Japan and the Philippines. That is the area which I feel is going to receive the big Pacific quake and tsunami sometime this year. Likely between now and July. Still, I'm pulled very much to July. Told you July is going to be intense. And July is a 7 vibration, which is all about spiritual ascension. Shifting our beliefs and really making us look where we need to look. Because you know how the mass media and the government has you look over here so that you don't look over here. When we get into July, you're going to look over here where they don't want you to look. That's the good thing about the 7 vibration. It's going to be really interesting, to say the least. So sometime this year, likely between now and July, and I have felt and continue to feel that the largest quake of our time is going to soon arrive. And I'm feeling like 8.1 or higher. If that's even possible, I'm sure it is. And remember my past prediction that storm and earthquake categories are going to change in the future? That talk already started with hurricanes or tornadoes. One of them, they were just talking about that after I mentioned that prediction. But I feel like these incoming quakes could also be part of them changing the categories of the seismic activity, So we'll see how that works out. So expect there to be many, many, many more large quakes over the next week and just over this year. But even over the next week, it's very vulnerable. The tectonic plates are still shifting and moving very slowly, and I feel a snap coming, a snapping of plates. When they snap, that's when it unleashes something really, really big. The snapping, and hopefully that's not under the ocean, because if it is a snapping under the ocean, it will unleash tsunami waves, as I talked about in my recent April forecast and predictions. So again, please do make sure you check that out. And the weather predictions where we go over the map and look at the map and point at things on the map. An area I also pointed to on the map and warned was our friends down under in Queensland, Australia, where evacuations just took place in their area referred to as cattle country. And it's completely underwater, friends. As water levees break and as they ensue record flood levels. And I warned our friends in that area, and certainly hope that some of y'all that may have heard that warning took some advice from the spirits. All the more reason, friends, to always be prepared for any scenario. And prayers to all our friends down under that are dealing with those floodwaters. And of course, prayers to all those that are in the epicenters of the Myanmar earthquake. Now, again, per my April predictions and forecast, expect massive flood systems to still come in over the next couple weeks and over the next couple days, actually. No matter where you live or where you may reside, April is a strong water influential month. And I have to tell you, get your life preserver ready and your boats ready just in case. Better be prepared than to be scared. We continue to see people falling out of power, the fall of leaders, just as Spirit told us. And we also have the Canadian elections coming up. And I bet Canadians are so glad Trudeau's out of the picture soon. Or will he be? Likely, he's going to try to come back. And I see a whole lot of disappointed folks in Canada for some reason, especially over their coming elections that are usually, as you know, predetermined. And they might get more than what they bargained for. And it's that Carney guy, if he gets in, oh man, which I feel the globalists are definitely pushing for, it would be a disaster for Canada, maybe even for others, and a disaster for the relationship between Canada and the United States. It would greatly affect that. Now, when we look at the numbers, excuse me again. When we look at the numbers, Carney is in Aries, and he is in his one personal year in numerology, while Pierre is a Gemini, like DT, and he's in his 9 personal year, just like the planet Earth. endings, death of cycles, letting go of, getting rid of. So there could be kind of complicated when we look at the numbers. Now, Trump, he was elected at the past election in his one personal year. He's now in his 2-year. It would make sense that he would win the election. New beginnings, new starts, starting something completely new. That's one of the many reasons why I knew he was going to win. Back in 2016, he'd served 2 terms. That was all the more reason. That one showed me like, that would make sense. That he would win in the 1 and then start in his 2 to get the foothold on things. The first time he was actually in his 2-year when he got voted in. So both good numbers when you're when you want to bathe for a good win and push for a good win. So does this mean Carney's going to win? The numbers would point to that for sure. And that's what the globalists and the WEF want. The W, the E, and the F. Although a while back I did feel very strongly that it was going to be Pierre who takes the win. He's in his 9-year of ending, so it could very well be significant to him moving out of whatever current position, point in life that he's in, and into something new. And really taking that somewhere even stronger when he goes into his 1 year next year. That would make a whole lot of sense. And there's going to be a lot of controversy over these coming elections in Canada, of course. And of course, a lot of accusations around cheating. Sound familiar? I think that probably happens everywhere, likely. For some reason, I feel that whoever does go into place, they're not going to hold position very long. Don't know why. Just feel. But I'm going to go back with what I said originally. I don't change my predictions. I always stick with what I said. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can't be right all the time, but Pierre. Now in France, we have the ban on their winning candidate who was in charge, winning, in the upcoming elections. They were winning all the polls and everything, Le Pen. Now Le Pen is being banned from the elections for 5 years. You either ban or you forever, or you just let them. That just makes no sense. Doesn't this sound familiar? Excuse me, it sounds very familiar. Take out the leading candidate, friends, any way possible. Especially if they can use an unjustified justice system to attack opponents. And this ain't going to last long, friends, before more truth is going to be revealed around this and around other things, too. But this is going to lead France into some chaos in the near future. I see protests and even intentionally set fires happening in France. Spirit's telling me in my ear now, also wildfires. Be aware of wildfires in France. But I do see chaos, protests, and beware, French folks, beware. They are deceiving you greatly, says the spirits. They are deceiving you greatly. And one day, that Le Pen, I could see Le Pen in power easily, without a doubt. And I actually believe Le Pen would actually do a really, really good job, too. Maybe that's why they don't want Le Pen in there for 5 years. Thinking that after 5 years, that Le Pen would give up completely. Le Pen doesn't have give up kind of energy to me at all. We'll fight this to the top. Now, lots of folks are still, again, dropping like flies. Here in the United States, we had the head of the United States Postal System resign. And I spoke to you all about huge problems coming for the post office. And I feel for some reason Bezos, Mr. Amazon himself, is somehow in the background devising a plan to take over the post office. I'll just tell you what the spirits make me feel, or what I feel, or what spirits tell me. That was a feeling more than anything. Bezos devising a plan to take over the post office or do it in. I hope he fails. I see some other type something coming together. I can't, it's hard to explain, but I see some kind of coming together with the post office with some other organization. I hope it's not Amazon, but I see a merging or something happening with post office. Almost like even a sale of it of some sort. Which, again, I hope isn't the case, because that would put a lot of people's jobs in jeopardy. And I spoke to you before about the post office and how here they have contractors that buy up all the routes because they can't find the help to get people to deliver mail, I would assume. So remember, I have stated in the past around Musk's grandfather. Remember what I said about him wanting to form different? I thought I lost a spot here. I thought I forgot to tell you something. Yeah, remember I told you about Elon Musk and his grandfather, who Canadian, who was pushing for unions in Canada like the European Union. And remember my visions of Northern America becoming one big union of some sort in the future. We're going to see and hear a lot more around this forming in the near future. Different unions with different countries and such. It's going to be really interesting. It's not for the good, friends. Remember that. When they put these things, put countries together and form these unions, it's not always for the good. It's more of a control thing more than anything. Now, we can hold in the light that it does end up being good and works out for the best. We are already in new paradigms, moving in towards new earth, especially when we switch into the 2030s. So it could work out to be good in the long run. But it's the short screw-ups and bad decisions that make folks realize that we need to change it again. And it's not working out for the best. And not only that, I get this whole feeling that it feels to me very dystopian to me. The whole creating these unions and, say, putting United States, Canada, and Greenland together as one union. Not necessarily one country, but one union feels very dystopian and controlling. So we got to keep our eyes on that. And the United States will acquire, in some form, Greenland. It will happen. It won't become a 51st state. Remember, I saw states dropping in the future. Not necessarily in the near future, but I saw stars falling off the flag, a star falling off the flag. So we're not adding stars. If anything, stars are going to fall off the flag. And I think that'll come likely in maybe the next presidency after this term runs out. It's going to be a wild term for sure, though. Wild term for sure. Speaking of unions, now the European Union is warning its citizens to start stockpiling goods, friends. Wasn't it Spiritman and the Team Spirit that said back in 2020 to start stocking up and stockpiling stuff? Well, now the European Union is doing so and telling people, but they're telling you to do so for 3 days. So why would they be putting out such a warning? Well, there's lots of logical reasons. What do they know that we don't know? Oh, a whole lot there, too. The European Union urges the citizens to stockpile supplies to last 3 days in case of a crisis. That tells you right there that they're expecting a crisis. 100%. What kind of crisis are they expecting? Fear attacks? Weather events? Maybe even conflict? This comes out of Brussels. The European Union on Wednesday urged citizens across the continent to stockpile food, water, and other essentials to last at least 72 hours as conflict, cyber attacks, climate change, and disease increase the chances of a crisis. They threw out a whole bunch there, friends. Whole bunch of options they could throw at us. Conflict, cyber attacks, climate change, disease increases. I saw an outbreak in Europe, remember? That just popped in my brain. The call to action for the EU's 450 million citizens comes as the 27 national bloc, essentially after the Trump administration warned that Europe must take more responsibility for it. They are rethinking their security. Interesting. Hey, friends, this is no coincidence. If they're telling you, especially y'all over there in Europe, and you're part of that EU, and they're telling you to stockpile food, and they're telling you 3 days, I'd tell you to say 3 months. Better be safe than sorry. The more the merrier, as they say. And also the Food and Drug Administration's top V official submitted his letter of resignation. And it looks like him and many others are running scared of Bobby Kennedy, because Bobby Kennedy's taking aim on the corruption of the Food and Health Administration and the food and health of us. And many more are still to fall, says the spirits. Many more still to fall. April's going to be a huge month for people falling out of power, friends. Huge month for that. And it's only a 4 vibration, so it's really more to do with the astrological influences and all that are happening that would determine that. I mean, wait till September, because it's our double nines. That'll be interesting. Let's get through the summer and the spring first. One person that already seems to be pushing to stay in power, of course, is our dear president here in the United States, who is now pushing to change the Constitution in a way that allows him to run for a 3rd term. No thanks, Mr. President. I don't want that for anybody. I don't care if I like you or dislike you. Don't want that. Constitution needs to stay exactly the way it is. Period. And he's going to fail at making this attempt. All right, I just feel like he's going to fail making this change to the Constitution. Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase my words there. He's going to fail to make the change to the Constitution. Thank the Lord for that. You shouldn't be allowed to change it unless it's for the good of all, and that's not for the good of all. That allows people to be in power too long. Not good. But I would not underestimate his ability to find some kind of loophole. That's what billionaires do. They find loopholes. Although the fact of the matter is, of course, as Spirit told us way back in 2016, that he would serve 2 terms, not 3, 2, and that he wouldn't make it through his second term. Determining now that 2027 is going to be a really rough year for him and his health, and as of now, I don't see him pulling through 2027. Now, they are the globalists. The globalists, will make other huge attempts on his life, as I have predicted since the last attempt on his life, when one of my previous visions came into reality in July of 2024 in Pennsylvania. I also feel he'll pull through these attempts. I don't know if they'll all pull through, though. Someone's going to be taken out in the United States, and I'm not sure who it is. I'm not getting clarity. Spirits aren't telling me. But in a shocking... Spirit's showing me like ML Martin Luther King. A shocking takeout will happen in the US in the near future. Shocking takeout. And they compare it to Martin Luther King. So could it be a religious leader maybe? Joel Osteen maybe? I don't know. I don't know how to take that. I know that we have the same astrological alignments going on now and this year in the United States chart that would determine things like that happening. Same things that happened back in the 1960s. Interesting. Definitely an interesting times. And to really mark off how interesting our times are, friends, prophecy in plain sight. Actually, that was a video I did a couple years ago about the Euphrates River and the demons that live under the river being unleashed upon the world. And look what has happened in the Middle East since then, come to think of it. Prophecies in Plain Sight is the name of the video. I'll have to look it up and try to put it down below in the comments and up above so you can go check it out. It's an oldie but a goodie. But another prophecy in plain sight, also coming right out of the Middle East, is this right here. The waters of Iran turning blood red. I think it's actually quite beautiful. What an amazing sight. Could you imagine seeing that in person? How amazing that would be. But now we know what's happening with Iran and Israel and even the United States and all the chaos that's been going on over there in the Middle East. And, when we look at the book of Revelation in the Bible, it talks about the waters turning red, which I don't believe this is why. I believe that's related to something more like a meteor or asteroid hitting in the future. If you put all the prophecies together, it makes more sense. At the same time, I don't believe in coincidences. Now, we've seen waters turn red even here with the Colorado River a couple years back, but that was because some mine, let all their stuff into the river. We've seen in a couple other places waters turning red. It's not an uncommon phenomenon that happens. It does happen. But when it happens in a place where the Bible prophecy takes center stage, that's got deep meaning to it, friends. And I take it as God showing that if somebody makes the wrong move, especially I'd say Iran, a lot of blood is going to be spilling on their land. Because as we see, it's like a metaphor of what could happen if they move forward with conflict. I mean, they do have a right to protect themselves too, and I do see attacks coming to Iran, unfortunately. And that would be really bad. So let us all hold in the light that never comes into fruition. And that this is just a natural earth phenomena with no deep meaning behind it. Which is a little hard not to believe, but let us move on. In some new Teatime predictions for you for today, I'm trying to keep today's show somewhat short because I'm running behind, and the shorter it is, the easier and quicker it is to upload and get it edited. Not only that, I put out a whole huge video yesterday that you just got to watch if you missed it. First one is I see some type of roller coaster accident, means we're on a roller coaster ride right now, taking place. And I had a very clear vision of this actually, and it felt to me like the cars were coming off the rail, off the track, sending riders flying through the air on a real life roller coaster disaster. I feel this could possibly be in China for some reason. If not China, maybe somewhere in Asia, maybe even Japan. Not sure, but that's what it felt like to me. But yeah, it wasn't good in my vision. Not a good vision. Looked like something out of a movie. And I feel like this could be more likely, not necessarily this month in April, but when we reach late June and more so into July. July would make most likely the case because of all the alignments that are happening. And when we do get to July, and even before that, throughout the year, we're going to hear an alarming amount of incidents and accidents taking place at amusement type of parks. Not just amusement parks, but large fairs, carnivals, festivals, and things like that, or what have you. So be aware of that, and especially in July, if I wouldn't personally get on a ride like that in the month of July with all the alignments that are happening. That's just me. I'd still fly though. Don't let that deter you from flying. It has nothing to do with it. But amusement parks, things break down, things go haywire, and it is the second energy shift to Mercury retrograde in July. Separately, I feel that there is some type of a fear attack that is going to occur at some type of festival in Germany. This was pretty clear to me as well, so I have to say beware to our friends in Germany. I feel that there's going to be, feels like more than one person. It's not just one person with one vehicle, using it as a weapon. It felt like two people. And it felt to me they were coming in from separate sides, like almost like a double attack type of situation. It was really weird. And it didn't play out clearly. I just saw visions and had feelings, and I saw them coming in from two sides to this festival, which could help our friends in Germany because there's access on both sides, two sides. Two big entrances, I would take it. So let's hope that don't come into fruition along with this one, because I see, as I said earlier, some type of riots taking place in France, angry crowds, and I have a feeling of chaos. I had visions of militarized, how they like to militarize the police and put them in the streets. And then separately, but in the same country, France, I feel a huge fire is coming to Paris, France. Pretty close to the Eiffel Tower. That one feels like arson related to me. Maybe even fear related type of attack to me. And as I said earlier, I feel like there's going to be wildfires that break out throughout France. And even moving into Italy, I see some wildfires happening. And at the same time, I get this strong feeling that Italy might have a big shaking earthquake in the near future. Italy, Greece, and that area, which is an area I did point to on the map in my weather prediction video. Now, here's a strange prediction for you. Alligators and crocodiles. Fascinating creatures they are. Alligators, definitely ancient creatures for sure. Alligators and crocodiles, I know, is a strange subject and a strange prediction. So remember, you usually hear it here first. And you heard this accurate prediction here first, because I have no doubt this is going to be one of them creepy accurate ones. And you're like, whoa, that was weird. I see major issues with first alligators in the south of the United States, mainly in Florida. And it feels to me like there's this sudden population growth that happens and a whole bunch of attacks that follow that has officials organizing some type of new gator control group. All right, I thought that was really interesting. So, and I think that's Florida, maybe even like Georgia or wherever else they have gators down there in those areas. Don't they have them in Louisiana too? But like a gator patrol. I'm going to join the gator patrol. And interesting enough, I see similar issues around crocodiles. I don't know what it is, friends. This is what Spirit showed me. This was actually last night, or maybe this morning. An explosion of population in crocodiles. And many concerns that are going to be born out of this population growth. Australia, South America, and many other places that are soon going to be dealing with interesting issues revolved around alligators and crocodiles. Interesting. And again, you heard it here first, friends. You heard it here first. I feel some type of chaos is going to break this coming weekend. Lots of heavy energies coming in this weekend. I'm not sure what's going on, again, on an energetic level, other than their energies coming in. But this coming weekend feels very intense to me. Likely like some type of maybe missile attacks, along with maybe the other massive earthquake coming. I also feel some type of sudden flash flooding events. In my vision, I saw a vision. I see people and small structures literally being swept away by floodwaters. Not sure where I was, but it was interesting. And they weren't structures I recognized, so it wasn't in the United States. Maybe somewhere in Asia, maybe even near Vietnam, perhaps, in that part of the globe. And I also saw visions of choppers, helicopters, coming down to rescue people from rooftops and clinging. I saw several people clinging to trees. This actually could even be South America, come to think of it. Somewhere in South America, maybe Brazil. I'm not sure which country I'm in. But over this weekend, friends, if the weatherman is warning you that there's, high rains and high stuff coming your way, be prepared. Because it could be you that ends up, in a flash flood, and you don't want to be in a flash flood. They're not fun. Been in one of them before, a couple of them before. Not fun. I remember one time my car started to lift up and go sideways. I got out of it, thank God for that. But the person that followed me didn't. Not at all. So I actually believe that this exact scenario is going to actually play out in several places over the coming week. So again, if you're going out, if heavy rains are coming your way, stay off low ground. Get to high ground. Like they had to do in Australia. They had to get them to the airport, which was the higher ground over there in Queensland, where those floods came in that I just showed you earlier. Now, I still feel like we're in for some travel nightmares over the next week or two. Likely a reflection, of course, of Mercury retrograde direct, which we shift out of on the 7th of April. But we still remain in that post-shadow till like almost the end of April for a couple more weeks after the 7th. So maybe the 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around there. And I see frustrated folks in a vision stuck at airports. I saw angry travelers. Not a good weekend to travel, especially by an aeroplane, friends. Don't do it. Much of these delays are likely going to be weather related. But I also feel like some type of cyber attack is going to happen on an airport that's going to cause cancellations. Perhaps this week too. But that was my strong feeling. And I see another drone type of an invasion taking place. Remember Spirit said, keep your eyes to the skies recently. Remember like we saw last year in December in the East Coast of the United States and other places all across the globe, which was actually in my November 2024 forecast. And Spirit said, especially early December, the skies are going to get filled. And that's exactly what happened. I feel something similar is going to be coming. And there's going to be new concerns around things flying around in our skies. United States, parts of Europe, and even parts of Asia, likely Japan. Lots of interesting sky events that are coming our way this month and in the coming weeks, but also July. July is going to be a big sky, UFO month. You'll see when we get there. But let's get through these next couple months before we get to July. And that little peace time, we'll have this little bit of peace from May, like a month of nice calming energies. It's quiet before the storm. Always a quiet before the storm. Now, I see somewhat of a large plane. It was like flying erratically, like it was out of control. I don't know if it could be maybe it was cyber attack or something and flying out of control, or maybe it's weather related and high winds. It was just like all over the place. And I saw the plane going down. The number 132 came to me, 132. I don't know if that's how many people were on there, but the 132 came to me in my mind. And it appears to go down close to a city. And I see a burning structure, likely because the plane hit some kind of structure. But it looked like a big airplane. It did. I don't know where I'm at. But also India just popped in my brain. And if it's not related to that plane crash in India, then there's something else happening with an airplane incident in India. And I see visions of fire. Thank you, spirits. Now, I see something concerning coming up around King Charles, especially something around June. And I feel that Charles may be spending some time in the hospital. Now, we're only going to find out afterwards, of course. And Spirit showed me these really weird, maybe y'all could help make something of this, but I had these weird visions. And Spirit showed me these visions of what exactly he's involved in. And it certainly was connected to ancient, dark, ceremonial stuff. And Spirit showed me a vision of some type of a secret ceremony where there were a lot of people in black, dark robes, while there were others that were in purple robes. I'm not sure what that's all significant of, but that's what was in my vision. And I'm not sure what this ceremony is all about that I was seeing in my visions. Perhaps they're making some type of a pact. Maybe it's some type of initiation. I really don't know. I also felt present was William. Prince William was there. I didn't see him, but I felt his presence, so he was part of it. And I didn't see any of their faces, but I knew that they were there because they had hoods that kind of dripped over their face. And then the people in the black robes had white masks on, white faces, so you couldn't see who was behind the mask, while the two people I saw in purple robes had black masks. It's a very creepy vibe, and I don't know what spirit was showing me that for. Take it if you want to take it for what it is. If you don't want to take it, leave it for someone else. I'm just passing the information on. Now, I see some type of problem, actually many problems, when it comes to shipping containers and ships carrying goods across the water. First, I see what appears like rough waters and a rough rogue wave that tips a ship on its side, while containers fall to the ocean floors. The number 13 kept coming to my mind, perhaps 13 people aboard the short ship, maybe? Or perhaps it's the date, the 13th of this month or next month. I'm not sure, but that's the 13 came to me. And I also see an issue where ships with goods are suddenly being blocked somehow from getting through. I saw them all lined up, and I saw them all sitting off the coastlines. I'm not sure where this is, likely multiple locations, not just one. And I cannot help but to feel that China is behind one of these coming issues with shipping goods. In turn, this is bound, of course, friends, to bring more shortages of goods, higher prices, and you hear the EU telling people to stockpile stuff. And, you know, China's been stockpiling rice and grains and all kinds of stuff for the past few years. That should all be telling us something right now. And I'm sure Russia was stockpiling stuff before they went into conflict, and it's a good time. We see how the markets are. And now that we know that there's a strong potential for problems with shipping goods and goods not getting across, I see them sitting out at the coast, kind of like they were during the 2020 thing. But then I also saw them lined up like they couldn't get through, like they were lined up in traffic and something was stopping them. That's where I thought that China might have been involved in some way or another. And I cannot help but to feel that they are very much involved. So here in the United States, we're definitely heading into a recession by the month of June. Probably already in one. They just don't tell us until later. All the more reason, again, friends, all the more reason to start continuing, again, stocking up, stockpiling up, whatever you want to call it. Put your money into some solid physical assets, starting with survival food, a means of water, backup medication if you can, and you have the ability to do that. And anything else that you may need, especially if it comes down to something that you get and depend on that comes from the ports or comes from out of country. Stock up, friends. Always better to be prepared than it is to be scared. Well, friends, that's what I have for you on this episode 160 of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time. I very much hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please do smash that love button. That's that thumbs up button. So that this content gets out, we can help our tribe to grow bigger. And also, when you click the thumbs up on a video, it brings other content like that content onto your feed. So you discover new people and new things that you may like. So not doing that or doing the opposite of that is just depriving yourself from the same great content. And again, from other content providers. Thank all the subscribers. And if you just subscribed and you're new to the channel, welcome to the tribe, baby. We welcome you with open air hugs. And thank you to all the members of this community, the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community, and the contributors to this channel that make this free content possible for everybody else. I couldn't do it without you, and I am forever grateful. With infinite love and gratitude, may you have a blessed week. Get out there, celebrate. Don't let these energies get the best of you. Remember, we're in springtime here in the northern hemisphere, and even in the fall time down there in the southern hemisphere. A perfect time to get things in order, start building some structure, and take advantage of these energies, while at the same time using these energies to help you let go of anything you need to let go of. Well, friends, until the next time, remember to celebrate life, celebrate you, and to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. let your light shine. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste, and much love, friends. Much love.